do that.
All right. Hello, I'm Simon Mersett.
And I'm Steve McKay.
And this is Crave. This is a regular review of all things entertainment, usually music and whatnot. It's usually a podcast, as you possibly know, but if you're watching us on YouTube, it's, what is it, Steve? A video cast? A vidcast?
Oh, no, it's video.
Video cast.
It's a podcast. Let's just stick with podcast. I'm going to say
a podcast with pictures.
Yeah, there you go. Podcast with pictures. I like that. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent. And what are we talking about this week, Simon?
Well, look, most of the time, you and I are of similar-ish minds about...
Broadly speaking.
But this week that's not going to happen.
Not entirely the case, no. We definitely differ.
I think you've missed the boat on a certain film.
Really? No, not sure at all here, not sure at all.
But I think we will agree, the film we're talking about is Mary Poppins Returns.
It is.
But I think we will have a very similar view, and how could we not, about this film called Vice.
Oh, yes.
This is
altogether superior film.
Yeah, it's about the Vice being the former Vice President of the United States, Dick Cheney.
The very fellow.
Yeah. What do you say about this third film we're going to talk about this week?
Holmes and Watson.
Yeah.
There's not much you can say in a family podcast, really, is there? I mean, it's not much that's like fit to repeat. It was, well, we'll come to it. We'll save that, shall we?
Well,
so
if you want to know what Steve's view is, just go to our website, cravepodcast.com, and the headline actually tells you.
I think it said don't
watch it.
Do not go and see this film for good reason. Seriously. Okay. So where should we start? Should we start with Mary Poppins?
Mary Poppins, this film we're going to disagree about. Yes, let's do that.
Cool.
Come on.
Yes, and bear in mind that this depending on what you have to say about it, could possibly be our last episode of Crave, depending on exactly how badly you dig yourself into this.
Right.
So let's do the setup. So we've got Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
Last seen floating off into a cloud on an umbrella
in 1964, I think it came out.
Yes, and looking an awful lot like Julie Andrews at the time.
Yep.
Now she's back. And this time she's back because the bank's children, the ones that she was looking after in the original film, have fallen on hard times. They're living in the same house on Cherry Tree Lane, but Michael, the son, he's now widowed. He's not coping very well. His three little children are basically pulling things together.
Yes.
His sister, Jane, comes in and out of the story occasionally.
Yep.
And into this mess floats the new Mary Poppins.
And the mess is exacerbated because he's taken out a loan.
Yes, he has. He's remortgaged the house.
And he's remortgaged the house. He can't pay it, and it looks like they're going to lose the house. And as you say, in floats Mary Poppins. So I think I'm going to agree with you about one thing that you.
So you're going to agree with my statement of fact.
The statement of fact is correct.
That's a good start.
And the fact is that this is not a straight out remake, is it?
No,
it's not. It's set about 25 years further along the timeline.
Yes.
So I think that's good.
Yes.
So we're not trying to pretend we're just redoing what we did in 1964.
No, definitely not. No.
So it's a sequel actually, rather than a remake.
Yes, it's very specifically it's a sequel. So that's the basic setup, and so we've got Mary Poppins coming to take care of the children who are in a situation where the father's not doing well.
Yep.
So in that regard, it is a revisiting.
That's the same scenario.
Very much so. Even down to the fact that we've got a working class chippy chirpy sidekick,
yes,
played by an American
with a better English accent than Dick Van Dyke did in the original.
To be fair, I've known Muppets with speech impediments that have better English accents than Dick Van Dyke, who has actually demonstrated recently he can do a halfway decent English accent. That's potentially a spoiler.
Yes.
We'll save that till later. So that's the setup.
Yeah.
Right? And here's why it worked.
Okay, tell me, go on.
Here's what you need a re-education here.
Oh, right. Okay.
Here's how it works. I mean, first of all, Emily Blunt made no attempt to be Julie Andrews. Had she done so, she would have failed. Mm-hmm. It would be impossible. So she brought this beautiful, tart, crisp archness to the role, I thought. She's very clipped, very almost sarcastic, but not quite crossing over into that. Mm-hmm. She does exude the same authority. She walks in and says, "Right, I'm here. Everyone just listen to me. I'm taking over." But she was in a very warm and affectionate way. And here we end the last ever episode of Crave.
I'm going to come back and pick you up on that point, but you carry on.
Okay.
Yep.
You've got Lin-Manuel Miranda as, this time, instead of having a chimney sweep this time, we've got a Leary.
A lamplighter.
A lamplighter.
Yes.
Yeah, I did look in the Oxford English Dictionary. They've never heard of Learys.
Oh, so this is a bit of lingo created just for the film.
Looks like they made this one up.
Okay.
But we'll cut him a bit of slack, because
that's fine.
He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's good.
He's got a lot of character, a lot of charm to him, and then they go off on absolutely bizarre tangents. Like at one point they go off, as the original film did, into an animation sequence. Where you've got basically live action characters in beautifully coloured costumes in a hand-drawn animation.
Correct.
And it was so faithfully true to the original feel. It didn't try to ape the original, mimic it, but I think it reproduced the feeling of it beautifully.
Okay.
No, I can
yeah.
see it's killing you.
No.
Go on. Tell me why I'm wrong so far.
Okay. Well, I think the key thing is Emily Blunt, because the film was called Mary Poppins Returns. She's Mary Poppins.
Yes.
First of all, I think she's a great actress.
Oh, no doubt.
I've seen her in a number of roles, like Sicario. She was great in. She's the girl on the train.
She was by far the best thing in that.
Edge of Tomorrow, which was a sort of sci-fi with Tom Cruise, in which she was very good. And so I think she's great. And I would go to see a film if she's in it. A Quiet Place, the horror thriller from last year. She's very good in that. So look, she's a very skillful actor, and but I don't know if that works in this role. That's what I say. I say that exactly what you observed, I observed as well. That slight hint of coolness, that hint of sarcasm.
Yeah.
What that meant to me was a bit of the heart of Mary Poppins was replaced by something else. So although there was compassion given by the actor, it was given in a measured way. Okay. And this is a kid. Well, actually, is it a kids' movie? It's a kids' movie for those of us who saw it as a kid.
Yes, it is.
So, to me, that just became a little detached. Now, this is just a very personal thing for you and I. I just found a little bit of heart wasn't quite there.
Could this be?
Yes.
Seriously, I'm not trying to score points or be snarky here. Could it be because I'm English? Did I feel something from that a non-Englishman might not?
I think that I actually had that thought as well. Now that may well be the case, because that sort of prim and proper English way to a fellow English person is, I'm sure, entirely acceptable, and the meaning is accepted. Whereas maybe I'm not from that culture, maybe I don't quite react to it the same way. Yeah, I think that's quite possible.
I mean, I do wonder there's going to be a lot of fathers of my age who saw that poster with the hat pulled down over one eye and that slightly saucy look she's giving them. I think there's a lot of fellas of my age who have very, very conflicted, confusing feelings about that. You just got what I meant. You just started talking about that, didn't you?
How did the kids feel about Mary Poppins? My memory of the first movie was they really loved her.
Yeah.
Did they really love her this time, or did they kind of just respect her and admire her and think she did wonderful things, but did they really want to go and give her a hug and a kiss on the cheek? I don't know. Or was that not an English thing to do?
Well, no, not especially. Yeah. But the thing is, if she had done what a lot of people clearly wanted, I suspect you possibly did as well, which is be Julie Andrews.
Oh, no, I didn't want to be Julie Andrews. Anyway,
but if she tried to be faithful to that aspect of the character, then she would have been absolutely pilloried for trying and failing to be Julie Andrews. If, on the other hand, she tries to put her own spin on it, which I think she did.
Oh, she did do that, yeah.
But then it's, she's not Julie Andrews, is she?
No.
And so I got the horrible feeling that within that context, she couldn't possibly succeed. So I tried my very hardest to take her at her own merit, and I loved what she did.
I understand what you're saying, and I wasn't looking for her to be Julie Andrews, but I just mean that the performance, and maybe this does come back to this cultural difference, lacked a little bit of connection for me. But anyway, these are personal things, I guess. The other thing I wondered was, what is this film? Was there an opportunity here for the writers to give us just a little bit more of the Mary Poppins' backstory? Who is this woman? What's she about? Or is it better to leave her as a complete and utter mystery?
I think that's the whole point. Where did she come from? We don't know. Where did she go to? We don't know.
Okay.
When will she come back?
We don't.
when we need her most.
I see.
And clearly we did.
Okay.
Well, I did. Clearly,
Okay.
obviously
Yeah.
you didn't, so that's why.
Okay. Well, put it this way. Okay, this comes back to what you and I were talking about. Without spoiling the story, as the film gets towards the end and there's a lot of action going on, and there's a resolution of the plot, and the focus is going back to the family, the Banks family.
Yes.
Will their dilemma be resolved?
Yeah.
I felt for a number of sequences there that Mary Poppins just fades away a little bit from the front of the screen because other things are being resolved.
A little bit, yes.
And then when as we would expect, she comes back for the final hurrah. I don't know. I wasn't so emotionally attached to the fact that we were going to say goodbye to her.
Well, we have to dance around this because
Yes,
there's a
without getting
potential
too much.
spoiler. But you know the one sequence I'm talking about where she suddenly there's a peril sequence.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about now, right? Yeah. There's a peril sequence where people are put in a very, very perilous position.
Yes.
And suddenly Mary Poppins almost literally swoops in and resolves everything, and you find yourself thinking, why on earth didn't she just do that from the beginning,
Yeah.
other than for narrative exploitation purposes? And I thought there were missteps like that. It was not a perfect film.
And you pointed out in your review on our website,
That's cravepodcast.com.
And I agree with this. There was an interesting and fascinating sidebar with Meryl Streep,
Yes.
but it didn't really matter to the overall story at all.
No, I mean, in fact, the sense I get is, that there was a cousin, I think it was, there was a family member in the original film.
Okay.
And so it's possible, but this is my reading of it, is that, well, if we are making a Mary Poppins film, we have to have the zany cousin in it, don't we?
Right, yes.
And yes, Meryl Streep was zanier than zany. And she was fun, it was great fun. But they actually took a storyline and just set it aside and went nowhere else with it.
No.
It wasn't just her character, it was everything associated with her character. They suddenly said, yeah, we're done with that now. And they abandoned it. And you could actually do the entire film without that sequence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without missing a beat. And I thought that was, especially because, as you pointed out, 2 hours, 10 minutes for the Littleys.
Well, yeah, it was quite a long film.
Bit of a reach.
Okay, and one last thing I'll just take some issue with.
Go on.
You were delighted by the 60s style animation, right?
Yes, it was actually hand-drawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had conflicting views about that. I thought there's a sequence, a chase sequence that's not giving too much away, which was genuinely exciting.
Yes, it was.
Banks children. I thought that was very well done.
Yes.
But it's like when you're an adult going back to a house maybe you grew up in as a child, and all of a sudden it seems smaller, and the memories you've got in your mind aren't so magical anymore. And I had that feeling with the animation. There was an initial, this is like what I remember, but it went on quite a while, and in the end I just got a little bored with it.
Oh dear,
yeah, I did.
Well, we'll see.
That's bored.
Yeah, my take's a little bit different because maybe it's because I'm something of a Disney fan.
Okay.
I mean, my years in Florida, I used to go to Walt Disney World quite often. We have annual passes and we go.
Oh my gosh.
At one point, I was taking my 9-year-old daughter and she professed that she was bored going to the Walt theme park. That's how often we went. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was listening to the music and watching the just the whole feel of the film, and it felt like I was back in the Magic Kingdom. It really did. It evoked that kind of feeling in me. So that set me up to like it.
That's fair enough. Well, if that's the case, how did you feel about the return of a much-loved actor from the previous film?
Delighted.
I have to say, I that was the high point for me.
Yes, I
almost had tears in my eyes seeing this actor looking well.
Yes.
And
sounding
well, performing well, and it just gave me a little...
Yes.
I thought, wow, good on you.
What do we make of the music?
I think the music was pretty good. I don't have there's some catchy songs.
Yes.
The song they started with, they ended with. It was quite nicely done.
Yeah.
And I thought the music was quite well done, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth mentioning. Lin-Manuel Miranda, creator of Hamilton.
Right.
I mean, I was a creator of Hamilton. Apparently, he did everything from start to finish on Hamilton, and yet he wasn't actually involved in the creation of the music for Mary Poppins. I thought he did great performing it.
Yeah.
Clearly a highly competent singer.
Yes.
But the guys that got in apparently did actually consult with, was it Richard or Robert? I can't remember which, Sherman.
Okay, Richard, I think.
Yeah, one of the two brothers who wrote the original film music.
Yeah.
And he apparently wholeheartedly endorsed it, and I can see why. Yeah. It's definitely updated. I mean, there's that one song, A Book Is Not the Cover, which almost trips over into rap territory, and yet still somehow keeps the flavour.
Yeah.
So I love the way they managed to update things. It's a lot faster, it's a lot sharper, it's a lot zippier than the original. But then 1960s films operated at a different pace.
Yes. I mean, the whole thing of the setting was pretty faithful though to the first.
Oh, very much so.
The only thing I noted, put this in my review, a couple of things I noticed, the cast was more ethnically diverse than the original one.
Except that you didn't see a black person in a leading role. They were all
no, that's true.
Servants, supporters.
Yes, that is true. But they were. I don't think were there any in the first one. I don't.
More. We don't approve of that.
No.
Back then.
And there's a without giving it away. We see the lamp lighters on their bicycles, and they use the bicycles in a modern way.
Oh, very much so. Yes.
And but apart from that, it's pretty much you're seeing it as a story that unfolding in that sort of late Victorian time, whenever it was.
Well, no,
When was it?
Poppins was late Victorian, Edwardian. This was between the wars.
Okay, between the wars. Okay,
between the wars.
Further on. Okay. Anyway, so I left this film, Steve, thinking, I got something out of it, but I wasn't dancing in the aisles and jumping for joy. It felt a bit long.
Yes.
And I just felt I like Emily Blunt, but it didn't quite connect. Her performance didn't quite connect for me, and clearly it did for you.
And obviously, you have just dropped very, very, very slightly in my experience. As a film reviewer, I can no longer take you completely seriously.
Oh, what a shame.
But I mean, look, you took a wee one to see it. You didn't.
I was in when I was in not that one. I was in, but there were lots and lots of wee ones.
Okay, sorry, beg your pardon.
And I sensed a little bit of fidgeting in the seats here and there as the film went along.
So what I'm thinking then in that case is that ostensibly is the target audience. I'm thinking it's not really.
No.
I'm thinking I am.
Yeah, it's for the inner child in you and I.
It's for people who have this fond memory of Mary Poppins, and I think we needed her.
You needed it. I did take my 7-year-old grandson to see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
That was a film for today's youngsters.
Right.
We won't go into that right now, but they're quite contrasting. All right, so
fair enough.
Poppins Returns.
So I would wholeheartedly recommend.
And I would medium recommend.
Yeah, but we've already established that.
Done.
In this particular instance, your opinion counts for Norman.
Oh, okay.
So let's move on. Where are we going next? Oh God, no, please. Do we have to?
What?
Holmes and Watson.
Oh, we want to do that next?
Well, you wrote this script, mate.
I think I've got you saying something else, then.
Oh yes, I'm sorry, you're quite right. Yeah. Sorry.
We'll go to something good.
I'm so overwhelmed by so filled with love for Mary Poppins. So, Vice. Vice.
Yes.
Right. Did we find virtue in it?
Nice line. Yes, we did.
Yeah,
we did. Find
I will thank the writer with that line when I see it next.
Who could have written such a line?
Gifted.
This is it's a classy film. It's a provocative film.
Yes, it is.
It's about the political career of Dick Cheney, a recent United States vice president, 2 terms under George W. Bush.
That's the one.
And I guess really this is telling a story. One of the most manipulative power mongers of modern times, and the story is fascinating. But first, I'd like to know what you think about. How do we take this film? What sort of film is it? Is it a drama? Is it a documentary? Is it something in between?
Well, I mean, let's start with the obvious fact. I'm just going to check names here. I'm looking at my computer because I can't remember the guy's name. But it's directed by
and written by
Adam
McKay.
McKay or McKay, I couldn't tell you which. But what I could tell you is he did The Big Short.
Yes.
And you can see his fingerprints over both, can't you? He's got that sort of. I'm attacking a very, very meaty subject. I know it's going to take a lot of exposition. I'm not going to try and put long expository speeches in characters' mouths because that becomes remarkably tedious and forced.
Yes.
And so if you remember in The Big Short, he had things like, at one point there was Margot Robbie in a bath explaining, I can't remember, I've got to remember it was Margot Robbie in a bath, that's all you need to know. But he's not averse to that kind of, what could be a gimmick.
Yeah.
And so there's one particular device in this film, the narrator.
Yeah.
Who runs through the film explaining, and you wonder what possible connection could he have to Dick Cheney.
Yes.
And they do reveal it in the end in a very, very intriguing way.
Yes.
But the problem is that, as it says at the beginning, he's a very, very secretive man. And so there's the subtitle on the screen at the very beginning. It says, "The following is a true story." This is okay, it's as much of a true story as we can make it,
Yeah.
because he's a very, very secretive man. Then finally it says, we did our effing best.
Yes.
And I think they did.
Yes. So that means it's not a documentary.
Can't
It's not impartial by any means.
No.
It's not a straight out drama because you have got a narrator, you have got use of actual news footage.
Yes.
And what you're left with is it's like an opinion piece in an editorial in a newspaper.
In some ways, yes.
It is a partial telling of the story that a liberal-minded person is going to say, my God, are you on the money with that? You know, you've
Yes.
exposed this terrible corruption, and perhaps a conservative might say it's all a flight of fancy, and you know, Republican-minded people might not agree, maybe. So, I mean, you'll get, and what's fascinating about spoiling it is at the end of the film, he has a post-credit sequence where he actually deals with how people from different sides of the political fence
Yeah.
will respond to the film. And I thought that was an interesting take.
Yes.
Having said all that, it looks like there was a lot of research that went into the film.
There must have been,
And-
but by necessity, there's an awful lot of extrapolation, supposition.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one sequence. I mean, it's worth mentioning first of all that it's actually quite literally a film of two halves. There's, again, without giving too much away, there's a very clear break where the film could have ended,
Yes.
and then you suddenly realise that if they'd ended it there, then all the good stuff would have been omitted. But there are sequences where there's no way in the world an outsider could possibly have known exactly what had happened.
No.
So, for example, when they're in the famous undisclosed location
After 9/11.
after 9/11, and Cheney's taking charge,
Yes.
we can't know for certain, because certainly he's not telling anybody,
No.
is he?
No.
But somebody, obviously McKay and whoever he collaborated with, must have figured out this is inevitably how that must have played out. And that's a fantastic piece of screenwriting. He's clearly worked out for himself what must have happened, and there's got to be an awful lot of joining of dots that will have been done by him because the dots were laid out by Cheney himself from history. And so I watched it because I was in the US all through basically, as this film depicts it, Cheney's presidency.
Yes.
Which is pretty much how they depict it, isn't
Yes,
it, really?
it is.
I mean, it's worth mentioning Sam Rockwell as George W. Bush. First of all, looked just like him. Secondly, captured what we always imagined George W. Bush probably was. A chancer.
Yeah. Okay.
Somebody who was put where he didn't belong by his daddy.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. I was going to come back. I actually will come back, or maybe we should deal with it now. I found the George Sam Rockwell. I know he's a great actor. I found his portrayal of George W. Bush just edging a little bit towards parody, a little bit towards almost too much taking the mickey. I mean, he I guess exaggerated things to make the point, and he did that. But yeah, it was just didn't. Whereas when you put it this way, sitting next to the two performances of the two main roles, that's
so about
Dick and Lynn Cheney, Christian Slater and Amy Adams, who were fantastic. I found the George W. Bush portrayal slightly askew from that.
Slightly caricaturish.
Yeah, caricaturish. That's the good word I'm looking for.
Okay, and you made me wonder. It's Christian Bale.
Yes.
You get your Christians confused.
Oh, what did I say? Christian
Slater.
Oh, Slater. Sorry, my apologies. Christian Bale.
To both of them.
Yes.
No, but you're right. I mean, Amy Adams is also worth mentioning.
Yeah.
As I mean, they make it very clear in an early sequence there would have been no Dick Cheney.
Yes.
Were it not for her.
Yeah.
But then Christian Bale's performance.
Fantastic.
Superb.
In fact, I put this in my review. It's almost like it's not a performance. It's almost like you're not even watching an actor give a performance. You don't. It's not Christian Bale you're looking at. It's Dick Cheney.
Oh yes, he really does occupy. I mean, if nothing else, it shows how far prosthetics have come. Because I was starting to wonder at one point, had they used a different actor for later Dick Cheney?
Yeah.
Because he looks so different.
Yes. It's a great performance. It's a really good performance.
It's very, very good indeed, yeah. And so he manages to pull out... The man starts off as, when he first gets to Washington, as, I kind of can't quite believe my luck.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a second chance and I'm gonna make good, and who do I suck up to? And the man he sucks up to is Steve Carell's Donald Rumsfeld.
Rumsfeld, yeah.
Which I actually thought was a somewhat weak performance. I
agree with that.
My impression of Donald Rumsfeld, as a political observer in the US in the 2000s, was that he was a bit more of an evil man than he's being painted here. He was a bit of a fun uncle, really, wasn't he, in some ways?
In some way, yeah.
What-
I agree with that.
And I think that's Steve Carell possibly not giving him the venom that I think was underlying him. But then you very, very slowly but very definitely, Bales Cheney evolves from slightly wide-eyed boy full of wonder to a cynical, evil, nasty,
Driven.
oh yes,
Obsessed with the idea that he can use a president's executive power
yeah,
to bypass the democratic arms of government.
yes,
And so we delve into things like waterboarding, where that came from, the whole approach to torture, the whole use of Guantanamo, all those things about the denial of rights.
And so there's that one fantastic scene with an uncredited Alfred Molina.
Oh yes.
Which is absolutely brilliant, and that's one of the things that I think Mackay does really well in this film is they had to explain the concept of the unitary executive, and so what he could have done is say, the unitary executive is a constitutional interpretation which says that the president is above the law, and they could have had one character explain it to another like that, and it would have been rubbish.
Yes.
So instead, he basically had people actually turn to the camera and say it.
Yes.
And I like that. It's very refreshing because it doesn't attempt to try and force it into the film. He says, look, you know what? You need to know this. I'm just going to explain it to you. There's a lot of very, very nicely done framing of complicated ideas.
Yeah, and another key to the success of the film is it's not just that he is painting Dick and Lynn Cheney as evil demagogues.
No, not quite.
He's not quite, because he does allow us to get to know them as people a little bit. He gives us a little bit of an insight, this is the writer we're talking about, into their family and the dynamic around this. Is well known that one of their two daughters was gay.
Yeah.
And through that whole thread of the story, we might actually feel a little bit of not affection, but solidarity with the Cheneys, because for a long time they stood behind that daughter.
Yeah, for a long time they stood behind that. I like the caveat.
Well, because there is a caveat at the end, which a very, very telling one. So I think that adds to the performance of the actors, and it sort of rounds out what could be dismissed as an utter political diatribe by the writer to give us a slightly more rounded drama.
No,
and makes it more telling. Yeah. In so doing.
Now, one thing I would say, and I think this is an issue with what we know about the man more than a failing of the film. So the film tries very hard to get around this. I mean, you said he's profoundly driven.
Yes.
And yet, to begin with,
I know what you're going to say.
He's a complete slacker and wastrel. That's made very clear.
Yes.
And he goes from that to being Machiavellian in the extreme.
Yes. Yeah.
God.
No, he does, and made even more odd by it. It looks like he only decides to call himself a Republican because he happens to see Rumsfeld deliver a speech or a welcome to some political cadets.
Yes,
I think, I like the cut of his jib. I'll be a Republican.
Exactly.
So,
and he goes from that to being this profoundly driven individual.
But I think the key is that he is this quiet person who likes to sort of hide behind the scenes and see what's going on and just be, and is very loyal. So somewhere in there, that kernel of his personality develops into something that becomes a fixated personality.
Okay.
I agree with you. I don't think that is completely explained very well.
No.
And it does leave a little question mark in your head. How did he get from there to here? But
I mean, they make it very, very, very clear how he ticks.
Yes.
But what makes him tick?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a function of how secretive the man himself is, that any filmmaker is going to struggle to find that one. And I think McKay did the very best he could. We did our effing best.
Yeah.
And I would say, dear Lord, they did. I thought this was brilliant.
Very good film. And there's one more thing to say about this film. I just wanted to get your thoughts on this, Steve, and that's the timing of it. So we've got Mr. Trump in the White House right now, a man who is roundly laughed at, vilified by many citizens around the world.
Yeah.
And one would imagine that perhaps some and perhaps conservative-minded folk might think, oh God, if only we could go back to the days of George W.
Yes.
And and I've noticed, it's been interesting the last few months. George W.'s appeared in a bit of media. He gave I think it was a very well received eulogy for his father at his father's funeral.
Of course.
It was very well written, and he delivered it in a very heartfelt way, as you'd expect. And he's appeared in a few talk shows in the States to discuss a book that he's just had published, where he himself has painted portraits of veterans.
Oh, right.
And he popped up in things like Jimmy Kimmel and all those sort of type of talk shows. And he, I saw a couple of them online, and he appears quite humorous, relaxed, a little more mature, self-deprecating, and you could look at that and think, oh George, maybe we misjudged George. This film takes you back and just fair and square says, no.
Yes.
Under this presidency, this happened. Hundreds of thousands of people died in a country called Iraq because this president and this vice president told us there were hidden weapons of mass destruction.
That's a really, really good point.
I just kind of helped that. I thought I almost sort of, as Trump goes on, I've sort of been observing a little bit of a massaging of George W.'s reputation and image.
A lot of Americans saying, isn't it getting to something when we're nostalgic for days of Bush? And so you make a very, very good point.
I know that the writer Mackay had this in mind, but I couldn't help but think, you're just reminding us what was going on. Anyway.
Right. So I'm going to suggest, even if we were sadly, misguidedly split and divided on Mary Poppins Returns, where do we stand on Vice?
I think we stand fair, square, shoulder to shoulder on Vice.
I think we did highly recommend.
Very recommend.
I mean, if only for the fact, I think it's the first one I've ever seen where in the IMDb listing, Osama bin Laden gets an acting credit. And this is Osama bin Laden himself.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, who knew he was such a talented actor? Anyway, it's taken from us too soon.
All right. So we both agreed on Vice. We've got to slightly take a little bit of a issue with each other about this third film.
Are we going to fall over ourselves trying to decide who can slag it off the most?
That'll be, well, I think your headline in our website, cravepodcast.com, which says, and I've got it open in front of me, Holmes and Watson do not go to see this film.
Seriously, do not see this film.
Well, the fact that it hasn't been in the cinemas for that long, it's probably left the cinemas. But it will come back.
There is some justice in the world.
It'll come back in some form that you can access it, and it's probably
like the ghost of.
I'm not here to recommend it, but I found a couple of little kernels of laughter in there. Not many, but. So what this is Will Ferrell playing Holmes, John C. Reilly playing Watson.
Yeah.
It's a retelling of a Sherlock Holmes adventure. We've got some goodish actors like Ralph Fiennes.
You've got some outstanding actors.
So Rafe Fiennes.
Rafe
Fiennes.
Please.
Yes, Hugh Laurie's in it. Steve Coogan's in it.
Yeah. Kelly MacDonald's in it.
So there's a decent spread.
Rob Brydon's in it.
Yes. So there's some talent there in the cast, and they've tried to do a parody of Holmes and Watson.
Yes.
Well, I'm not going to say it fails. It does.
Oh,
fail. You are. And I'm saying it fails, but I don't think it's as big a failure as perhaps you think. And tell me why it's such an utter failure, Steve.
Well, here's the thing, right? Friends of mine had a baby recently.
Yeah.
And
where's this going? Okay.
Well, little Danvers, she's a gorgeous little thing. Right? She's about 8 weeks old right now. And recently we were at their house, and her mother opened up little Danvers' nappy, right? Because there's stuff starting to come out the sides of it, right?
Yeah.
And seriously, it was bad, right? But even that nappy was not as full of shit as this film was.
Okay, right.
That's where I'm going. Okay, so look. Okay, here's the setup. You've got Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly as the titular Holmes and Watson.
Yes.
And you've got Ralph, not Rafe, not Ralph. You've got Mr. Fiennes as Moriarty, or possibly not. They hedge their bets so badly it's not even football. Nothing else is funny in this film, so why should that be? You've got Kelly MacDonald as Mrs. Hudson, the housekeeper.
Yeah.
And so you've got Holmes and Watson trying to track down Moriarty before he's able to kill the Queen.
Yes. Played by Pam Ferris, who I think actually is originally a New Zealander.
Is that? Yes, I believe she's an Aucklander.
Yes.
Yes, and we're not proud of her any longer. Not very often that we say that about Kiwis, but seriously, she's dead to us now.
Oh,
anybody in this film is.
No.
So that's the basic setup, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got that going on, and it's meant to be a comedy, and so you've got Will Ferrell, Well, who cares? If he can't be able to make a decent film, I can't be able to pronounce his name properly.
Okay.
So you've got your man Ferrell, right, as Holmes, basically doing the kind of imitation Englishness that I used to see when I lived in America from not very bright Americans after they had too many beers. It was a clumsy, mocking, not very articulate, effeminate, not pronouncing your W's properly nonsense.
Yes.
John C. Reilly was doing his very, very best with a horribly underwritten part.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be fair, I actually have a confession to make.
Okay, go on.
You didn't notice this last time. I don't think nobody else noticed this either. Do you remember we were talking about our least favourite films
Yes,
of the year?
yes.
And I slagged off Tomb Raider and criticised the fact that John C. Reilly was...
Yes.
Yeah.
He wasn't in it.
That was Kong.
That was Kong. Yes.
Tomb Raider was so bad that I mistook it for Kong.
There you go.
That's how bad it was. So
Actually, that thought was... I was trying to form that thought at the time. I thought, has he got that right? Anyway. Okay.
Oh yeah, afterwards when I was editing down the podcast, I was thinking, no.
Anyway.
But I was about to say, credit where it's due. But I mean, he's I think capable of better, but he's certainly not on the strength of this. The two of them have no comic chemistry or timing at all.
Right. Okay. Let me just nip in there.
Go on.
Will Ferrell. I agree. It's an appalling performance.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
I can only imagine he was thinking, if I play this in an outrageously stupid way, it'll be so bad people will think it's funny.
Yes.
But I don't think it does that.
No, I think the stupid triumphed over the outrageous.
Yes. You don't understand why this actor is portraying Sherlock Holmes in this way. There's nothing about it that gives you anything to...
No, it's clumsy, it's...
Well, it's just... He's a buffhead.
Yes.
That's what he is. And, but I disagree with you about John C. Reilly. I actually quite like John C. Reilly because I think that the two... It shows the difference between a guy who's been a comedian, I don't know if he's a stand-up comedian, but certainly a comedic actor, Will Ferrell, been in Saturday Night Live and all those sorts of programs. And John C. Reilly, I think, is a genuine actor.
Yeah.
And I thought he brought some genuine acting skills to that role. And there were the odd moment where I did actually laugh. And that included his apparent starstruck affection for the Queen.
Yeah, that was somewhat entertaining.
I didn't mind that. I kind of, and it was a little thing they returned to a couple of times, but I quite like that. The only time the two of them did anything which made me slightly smile was that there's a scene where they're playing catch with a big ball fueled by cocaine.
Yes.
And that was kind of a bit funny. But
a stop clock is right twice a day.
Yeah. But generally...
You're not... I'm not giving you any mercy at all, no.
No. Well, I mentioned that because I did laugh here and there a little bit.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
It's because there's some slapstick humour there, visual gags which occasionally...
Yeah.
And I was attended it with a smallish audience, it has to be said, but there was a bit of laughter here and there. But no, generally it's you're looking at your watch again is what's
well,
going
very,
on.
very much so.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, when I saw it, one thing I did notice, and I've heard other people comment on this as well, so I don't think it's just me, Will Ferrell's mouth didn't always quite seem to line up.
No.
So it's almost like he had redubbed his dialogue.
I think that was done on purpose. So I noticed that with Kelly Macdonald's role as well a couple of times.
Didn't pick up on hers so much.
So I think that was done on purpose.
But all it makes me think is that there is possibly somewhere an even worse audio track.
Maybe.
For Ferrell.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. What type of comedy was this trying to be? Was it trying to be, and this is something we talked about, was it trying to be like that sort of Naked Gun parody of the old Leslie Nielsen, those old crime cop shows? Was it trying to be that type of parody or not? I mean, they did a couple of in references to Trump type humour.
They did,
and somehow make it
there was a reference to the Electoral College at one point, wasn't there? That felt so shoehorned.
Make England great again. And, I mean, flat.
Oh, clanging.
Yeah.
Horrible. So it makes you wonder. You've got Steve Coogan, Kelly Macdonald, you've got Ray Fiennes, you've got Hugh Laurie, you've got Rob Brydon, you've got Pam Ferris. Somebody somewhere has got a shoebox full of compromising Polaroids of these people. Why else were they in this film? I mean, they're all fantastic actors, these guys.
Yeah. I would love to know what their thoughts were They might have been sent a script.
Yeah.
And they might have said, oh, there's so-and-so's in this, and
Yeah.
so-and-so, and John C. Ryder, I quite like him. Will
Yeah.
Ferrell, he's
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
quite successful. Oh, let's have a look at that. What were they thinking when they actually saw Ferrell start to do his thing as
Yeah.
Holmes? I can imagine someone like Ralph Fiennes just been thinking, oh my God, what am I doing?
Yeah, there goes the nice one. Yeah, I mean, seriously, it's appalling, isn't it? I mean, Ferrell is capable when he's given a strong script and decent direction. So look at, say, Anchorman.
Yeah.
I mean, very quotable film.
Yes.
Very well loved. Or even something like Talladega Nights.
Yeah.
You know, these are films that have got very, very strongly written characters. And he's allowed to sort of focus himself. But otherwise, he's got this sort of comic energy that he doesn't know what to do with.
No,
it.
he doesn't. It's all over the place.
All over the damn place.
Yeah, it is. It totally is.
And it's rubbish as a result.
Because you don't, I mean, we're going on this a bit, but
No, he needs to be ripped to pieces.
Initially I thought he was portraying Holmes as a gay man.
Yes.
He was extremely effeminate anyway, and almost in a pouty sort pouting sort of
yes.
effeminate, very cliched sort of performance. But then later on, we think maybe he's not gay, but it's still,
no.
You don't know where to put the marker down as to what he is.
No, but the thing is, that goes back to what I was saying before, that what you're identifying as effeminate and gay looking is how Americans often like to mock the English. They see us as being a bit effete and a bit soft like that. And so I think that's one of the reasons why it failed as badly as it did, is because they were trying to do something that just simply didn't work. And I'm sorry, it was horrible.
Yeah, it was horrible. And at least, Steve, the public agrees with you, because I think this has been out for about 3 or 4 weeks now.
Yes.
And I just was checking on the Mojo box office, boxofficemojo.com website, which gives you a breakdown of box office returns.
Yeah.
It still hasn't recouped its production budget.
Good.
So this will be destined to the dustbin of cinematic history, I'm afraid.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, one thing that I have read about this, I don't know if you've heard this, it's worth mentioning in passing, that the ending the opening that we saw, if you remember, there's a sequence where Holmes is tending to a huge marrow.
Yes.
And Watson is contemplating suicide.
Yes.
And through mixed communication, Watson throws himself onto it. Apparently, the American version opens with the two of them in a school playground. And I forget which round I heard it, but one of them is being bullied and the other one stands up for it.
Oh.
Yeah. So clearly this film has been focus grouped and it's been screen tested and it's been found wanting and it's been remade in 2 different versions for different audiences. There is nothing about this film that succeeds. In fact, I think I know, possibly, to answer our earlier question, what those guys were thinking when they signed up for the project.
Yeah.
I think they misread when they saw who the director and writer was.
Oh?
It's a chap by the name of Ethan Cohen.
Oh, yes. As in, we think of the Coen brothers.
And instead of being Ethan Cohen,
this
is Eton Cohen. And I think a lot of people glanced at that and went, oh wow, it's a Coen Brothers film. And then after they signed up and they committed themselves to going,
oops.
Didn't quite get that one right, did we? And seriously, I mean, it's like it should have been good.
Yeah.
It's like, Ethan Cohen should have been Ethan Cohen, but he isn't.
No.
So let's talk about things that are coming up.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's take our mind off this because there's been...
Well, actually, just the day we're recording this podcast, video cast, is the day that we've just found out that a band you and I have talked about in the past is now coming to New Zealand later this year. This is Fleetwood Mac.
We did wonder they were coming.
Yeah, we did, and especially given they've got a Kiwi in their ranks now.
They have indeed.
Mr. Neil Finn. So
he's not Australian, is he not now? Sorry, had to, couldn't help it. He's a good North Island boy, isn't he?
Yes, Te Awamutu.
There you go. There you go. He's a local lad,
yeah. So I think September is when there are two shows.
Yeah, I've got the dates in front of me. Yeah, September the 16th is a Monday. Then Thursday the 19th of September, they're going to be at Spark Arena. And then on the 19th, which is the Saturday of that week, they're going down to the Forsyth Bar Stadium in Dunedin.
Actually, I think that's the 21st they're going down to.
Yeah, no, you're quite right.
16th and 19th in Auckland.
I need to edit our webpage. You don't play it out very well. You're quite right. 16th of September in Spark Arena, 19th of September in Spark Arena,
Yes.
and 21st of September in Forsyth Bar in Dunedin.
Dunedin.
And the question is, given that it's Neil Finn, what are they going to call themselves? I mean, I'm thinking Fleetwood House.
Yeah, or Fleetwood Ends. Yeah.
Crowded Mac doesn't work. Actually, Split Mac, given the history of the band, would actually
Yeah,
work.
that's a
Wouldn't it?
nice one.
Yes.
There'll be those tickets will go in seconds.
Yeah. So, and what will they play? Like, don't you know?
Well, if you go on YouTube, you'll find they have played at least a couple of his songs. They played "Don't Dream It's Over."
They've got like a mashup, like "Don't Dream It's Rihanna." Or
No. And they've done that. And
God, I've been working on this all day. This is my best material, mate. Don't worry.
Okay. No, that's lovely. I'm sure looking forward to that.
Absolutely, yes.
And they've also played "I Got You," which is one of the Split Ends.
Oh, wow.
From the True Colours album, which was their biggest sort of commercial album.
And that's from when he really was a Kiwi.
Absolutely, yes.
That's
so
fantastic.
they've played some of that, and they've also, the other newcomer to the band, of course, is Mike Campbell, the lead guitarist from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Yes.
And of course, Stevie Nicks played with Tom Petty here and there over the years.
Don't
and
we
released
know?
songs and so
Don't we know
forth.
she did?
So I actually, I would want to see them as much to actually see Mike Campbell, because I never got to see Tom Petty.
Oh,
he
right,
came
me
here,
neither.
and I'd love to have seen
Yeah.
Tom Petty in concert. And but to see Mike Campbell play guitar would be a big draw card for me.
Now we've seen Stevie Nicks, and I think
Yeah.
our feelings about Stevie Nicks are reasonably well documented.
Yes.
But I think within the context of Fleetwood Mac,
Yeah, it's different.
I think that's going to be a hell of a good show.
I think so.
I mean, on the other hand, it's still 75-year-olds on stage.
Yes.
But still, I mean, if you look at
Well, have you seen any of the video of the concert on YouTube?
No, I haven't.
I've seen 2 or 3 songs, and it's really interesting. The way the configuration of the band members on stage. Neil Finn is pretty much in the centre.
Where
And
he belongs.
Well, and he's the youngest.
Right.
And he seems, and this is just the songs I've seen, to be kind of almost like the conductor a little bit, walking around, geeing everyone up.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's the sense I got from if you're looking at it.
Yeah.
He walks over to when Mike Campbell's playing the lead, he comes over to Stevie Nicks to sort of share a vocal with her. He turns around and looks at the drummer, and it's the feeling you get as he's the band leader.
Cool.
Now, I don't know, I might be reading too much into that, but that's what I got out of it.
Trying to big up the Kiwi.
I am.
Not you, surely.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, that is the big announcement.
It is. But what else have we got?
What else have we got coming up? This is hardly surprising, but the Queen and Ben Elton musical "We Will Rock You."
Okay, so tell me about that.
I mean, basically, what you just heard is about it, really.
Yes.
Apparently, from what I can tell, you've seen Mamma Mia, right?
Yeah. Yes.
It's the same kind of thing. It's what they call a jukebox musical.
Right.
It's basically it's one of these films or one of these shows where they take all the songs of your favourite band. I mean, you know, the Mamma Mia was the famous one. You know, "Sunshine on Leith" they did with the Proclaimers songs a couple of years ago.
Okay.
But they've done this with Queen. The story's by Ben Elton.
Mm-hmm.
Which could either make it likely to be absolutely brilliant or
maybe.
utterly horrible, depending on which Ben Elton we're getting.
Okay, all right.
There are 2 Ben Eltons. And obviously the music's by Queen. Brian May's quite tightly involved in it, which again is not always the ultimate imprimatur, but we'll go with it. And so there's basically there's a story apparently, and they weave the songs through, and that's going to be obviously exploiting the success that was Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, which is still playing in the cinema.
Still doing very, very well, isn't it? Yes.
I mean, it's that is, and what's his name? The lead, the man who played Freddie Mercury.
Rami Malek.
Got a Golden Globe Award just the other week. It's been a phenomenally successful film. Goodness me.
There are people who've taken against it.
Yes.
Especially against Rami Malek's performance, but I liked it. But "We Will Rock You" is going to be at the Bruce Mason Centre up in Takapuna, August the 20th to September the 7th, and I think that could be worth a look.
Yeah. Well, it's on the strength of the film.
Yeah.
There'll be a huge appeal for it.
That's very clearly why they're doing it.
Yes.
Now here's one that may or may not be happening.
Oh.
I'm going to mention this just because it's a curiosity thing, right? Before Christmas, we got an announcement that R. Kelly, the rap artiste, would be bringing his tour to New Zealand for the first time.
Okay.
And then about 2 days later, he put out an announcement saying, "No, I ain't doing that."
Oh, that's right. Yes, I'm going to be mentioning it. Yes.
Yeah, so it's worth mentioning that we still don't know what's going on.
We still don't know.
It may or may not be happening at the Trusts Arena in Auckland on the 15th of next month. We will keep you posted.
Thank you.
I just find this one so fascinating that I can't wait to find out what's happening. Last I heard, even the local publicists and promoters didn't know.
Wow.
So,
well, obviously, you just go to cravepodcast.com for the latest announcements.
that's cravepodcast.com.
Yeah. Other music? Well, there's a couple. We're into the summer season of festivals and whatnot. Laneway is not far away.
Laneway is going to be about a week and a half away.
Yeah, Florence and the Machine and many others.
Looking at my listing on my computer
Yes,
here.
yes.
So that's going to be Monday the 28th.
Yes.
We've got Lily Allen coming up, we've got The Prodigy,
Yeah.
Phil Collins, but he's not coming to Auckland, so we don't care.
No.
He's dead to us. The Eagles. I think
yes,
it's probably the next big one to come.
Oh, that's not far away, actually. Goodness, no.
No, it's not. And then
February, March.
also next month coming up is Happy Mondays from my hometown of Salford.
Okay.
And in our next edition of Crave Podcast,
Yes.
I will have interviews with Rowetta, the singer, and Bez, the dancer.
Fantastic.
So we've got that coming up for our next instalment.
Okay. Wow, great stuff.
And also one worth mentioning very, very shortly is Slash is coming to Auckland at the end of this month.
Okay.
And you'll have heard earlier in the episode our interview with Miles Kennedy, his singer and oddly enough not his guitarist.
Okay.
And so that'll be at the Power Station later in February.
Fantastic. Good, great stuff. Just a couple of films also, just quickly. Mary Queen of Scots looks like a good one.
Oh, doesn't it? Saoirse Ronan and Margot Robbie not in a bath.
it?
Maybe she is, I don't know, I've not seen it yet.
I think that's fair. So I'm looking forward to see that. And I'm going to go and see, I don't know if you are, but I enjoyed a film called Split last year with James McAvoy, M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah,
A return to form from him.
So I heard, yeah.
And this is a follow-up to that, where he's blended two different films to come up with a combined story. He's taken Samuel L. Jackson, Bruce Willis from Unbreakable, one of his early films, James McAvoy from last year's Split, and put them all together in one new story called Glass.
Which will either be absolutely brilliant or a catastrophic failure.
I don't know, but I'm curious enough to go along to find out.
Yeah, and then Green Book.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
That's the one that's really intriguing. I've seen the trailer and I remember sitting in the cinema going, oh dear, I have to see this.
Yeah, this is Viggo Mortensen.
And, how do you Mahershala Ali?
Two very good actors.
Oh dear Lord,
and it looks like they spark off each other really, really well.
Yeah.
Okay, that looks great. All right, so I think we've done our dash.
I think we have, Simon.
Yeah. So if you want to get in touch with us here at Crave, please do. We'd love to hear from you. You can email us at podcast@cravepodcast.com.
We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter @CravePodcast, oddly enough.
Isn't that fascinating?
And a lot of thought went into that.
Anyway, that's it for this time. I'm Simon Mercer.
I'm Steve McCabe.
That's what's been entertaining us this week.
Absolutely.